Start my recording. So Zell said he'll be here in a minute. So we're gonna go ahead and start anyways though. Olaram, Jate Tor, Balsukodgar, Nervode. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 10 of The Way of the Mandalore, Keepers of the Way podcast. This month, I know it's the last day of June, but we're actually going to be starting for July, because tomorrow's July 1st. So, we're going to do Tenet number 7 now. Tenet 7. A Mandalorian must not discriminate against another person based on anything but their actions. Race, gender identity, political affiliation, nationality, sexual orientation, economic status, disability, etc. must have no bearing for Keepers of the Way. Actions alone define an individual. Doesn't matter whether you're the President of the United States or a janitor in a librarian or a school. We will judge you based on your actions, not who you are. This extends to those outside of the way, like I just said. They are to be treated fairly. Those who follow a different religion are not to be treated disrespectfully based on their religion. Should their beliefs place them in direct opposition with the way, they must still only be judged according to their actions. All are equal under the helm. So, what do we judge on if we judge solely by actions? This means that we judge you as a good or bad person based off of what you do. If you're out there robbing banks, bond forging, art forging, con man, con woman, then we'll definitely judge you as a bad person. If you're out there giving to charities, you're putting yourself out there to help people and solely help people because you want to and it's the right thing to do, someone could judge you as a good person. But at the same time, we have to take that gray area in the middle as well. Yeah, people do questionable things, but they do it for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. This is where upbringing comes into play. We don't want to judge someone who is doing the wrong thing for right reasons, but we also don't want to judge the person doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense. And if I start going on wild tangents on this, someone please help me out. Zell, thank you for joining us, sir. We have already started. We're covering Tenet 7, judging only based off of actions.
I mean, does this mean actions that... Oh, sorry.
A very important tenet. I don't
Very.
know what all I said, but it is important to remember that all are equal under the helm.
Just trying to expand upon what we judge off of. Doesn't matter whether you're the president, whether you're POTUS, prime ministers, janitors, teachers. We base off of actions.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter whether you do the wrong things for the right reasons, wrong things for the wrong reasons.
Basically, this tenet boils down to your character as an individual is what one should be judged by.
Right.
So here's an interesting question. Do we get judged for our previous actions or only until we've joined the faith? Like, is it kind of a clean slate once we join the faith?
It would depend on what your previous actions were and what you have done in order to rectify any wrongdoing.
I should say at this point, none of us are lawyers or cops that I'm aware of, but I also don't know who listens to the podcast.
I am
be mindful of statute of limitations if you're going to admit to something.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. I say what I say in the sense of what Tenet 7 refers to
Right.
and how one should treat those wishing to be part of the faith. If you are truly wishing to be clean and honorable and mend your ways of any past wrongdoing, do so with your actions and do not, how to put this, uh, do not hide necessarily your wrongdoings of your past, but learn from them and learn to be better from them in that regard, if that makes sense.
I think
Is
I've
what
got
I
a
would.
good analogy for this, and I'm going to pull from Christianity on this one. The example would be Jesus dying for human sin, giving everybody a fresh start. Sin vettin. That
Yeah,
would be the best way I could think about it. Joining the faith would be a sin vettin, a clean slate. But I would also use anything you have done in the past as an example to everybody else, your peers, younglings, whoever it may be, about what not to do. Maybe it's like, hey, learn from my example, kind of thing.
yes, so long as you are trying to be honorable from those
Right,
actions and not wish to repeat said action. Using bad, dishonorable action from your past to teach and better others is not uh, frowned upon, but is in fact how one learns the most.
right,
It is not a problem to fall 99 times so long as you get up 100. And pulling, uh, not trying to say that we are of the Christian faith or anything, but an example of other faiths who have similar ideas of, you know, forgiving and starting new. Go with Christianity, it was asked of Jesus, how many times should I my brother sin against me before I basically shun them from my life? The response that is stated is that 70 times,
right. And so,
which
I
is a
just,
very astronomical number.
I just noticed
When
this on my end. My mic was muted due to testing that I was doing yesterday
your mic's been muted this entire time.
on OBS. Yes,
Ah, fuck.
right.
Let's start again.
If we're allowed to go off the rails, before we start recording, I would kind of disagree with that because it is implied in the lore. You know, when you become Mandalorian, your past and things doesn't matter. It's that you strive to be better. But the best phrase that I know of is Gartadin na Jernish Sabuya Oriwaras. La, basically. The fact that something so strong says, who you were as a person kind of does not matter. It's who you basically will be. Which that phrase also says, basically you don't care who your father was. It's more the father you shall be.
Right.
So it's not a clean slate. So as much, so 17 is a clean slate, but it does not mean that all your past things absolved. There's other governments and vice versa behind you, but also your own kind of personal demons. But with that, there is kind of a prize to grow, if that makes sense.
It
You can
does.
try and make up or just grow, but role models normally help. And sorry, I was sleeping.
So the question was brought up by Dirge. whether we get a fresh start, a clean slate, sin vetin, if you will, when we join the faith. I would argue that yes, because you're trying to make a better you going forward, joining the way. Much like the Christian Jesus died for humanity's sins, I would argue that joining the way is much along the same line of thought. And if anyone would like to argue that or counter prove that, I don't know, that might be the same term for different words, then yeah, I would gladly welcome that.
Don't really have anything to argue with it on it. Other than that,
Well,
So-
I just wanted to add in that as a Christian and as a Mandalorian, I became a Mandalorian after I became a Christian. But I saw no conflict between the two. I mean, the Mandalorian has noble aspirations of improvement, and the Christian has followed the Christian way to improve themselves because they don't want, like the Bible says, the wages of sin is death, but we want more than just life or we want more than just bare bones. We want better for ourselves and those we love. So, as I said, I saw no conflict between Christianity and following the way. Unlike other belief systems, other belief systems that that I have researched, nothing has come forward like the Mandalorian belief system. I mean, I was there when the Jedi, when Star Wars first came out, and we had the concept of the Jedi. I was shocked when I learned that the Jedi became a real religion on Earth, but I never felt an urge to become a Jedi. When the Mandalorian religion got proposed, I wanted that.
Right.
Funny enough, you speak of Jediism. If I remember right, when filling out my paperwork when I got to my A school, it's on the paperwork for the military.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The military does recognize it as a legit faith.
Yeah. And now it's going to be our turn in the near future.
I think, no offense for the Jedi, there was a bit of confusion of Jediism, and it comes down to some fans kind of went on the bandwagon as well, and protest voted. So it does not it does not diminish their beliefs. But it's tailored to different communities. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Some used it as a right to express their right to vote or protest, whereas others didn't believe that. Which is kind of a disservice to people who are of that faith. But
who did we lose?
Who did you just lose?
Dirge. We lost Dirge.
Oh, Dirge.
Dirge.
Yeah, I say that with the fact of I'm trying to live by one of our later tenets we will get into later this year of being an honorable ambassador to open the doors more for fellow keepers of the way,
right,
who wish to serve in the military, to show that there is a path for us as well.
And he's back.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back.
Technical difficulties.
Oh,
That's
good.
okay. I've
we
got
all
a storm
have them.
brewing over my area at the moment, so I'm just waiting for say bye-bye. Click.
Wait, you're waiting on what?
There's a thunderstorm in the area that I am. So signal will get a little funky.
You hush.
But in regards to how one treats others, it should never. I mean, this is a very straightforward, probably one of the most straightforward of our tenets.
Right.
Don't be bigoted. Don't be sexist. Don't be racist. Don't have any prejudice against others. Don't judge someone by their skin. Don't judge anyone by even one's intelligence. Uh, can also kind of fall into this of don't judge someone just based off their intelligence, because there's a sailor here that, quite honestly, talking to him, he comes off as a, a an idiot, to be honest. However, from what I'm hearing of the other students class, he is passing these tests with like flying colors. But some of the questions that he asks is like, you cannot seriously be asking this question. How is it that you asked this question when it was literally just talked about in the most simplest way possible? He would basically be like in the term of idiot savant, which is why I say that judging him based off of my interactions and seeing that, and then coming to find out that he actually does have college credits under his belt is like
Surprising.
a bit. Yes, it is very surprising, because my interactions with him up to that point were that guy. Quite honestly, this guy, I don't feel should be military. He's gonna end up getting someone hurt.
And hopefully
But
that will be it. Hopefully he will prove that incorrect.
I very much hope so too, because it sounds like he actually does have, at least when it comes to work-related situations, he's actually got a pretty decent head on his shoulders.
I think as well, though, if we're talking about past selves, you also have to remember that as a past self type of person, people learn defense mechanisms, and that could be, not opening up, or it could be putting on in some ways an act or defense to
I would not say. I would not say that what this kid is doing is an act.
Maybe he just doesn't know better.
he maybe no offense has a little troll, if that makes sense, but I mean generally for some people it's kind of a fear. So I'm trying to think of my experience when you say true to personality. So when I first appeared to Keepers, I was sus, very sus. But with that susness came like a wall, and it's like, how much will you show of your personality? That makes sense. Because human nature, we're terrified of everyone judging you. That makes sense. No one wants to be judged, and you also feel judged. Some people might try and act, the go-lucky, happy idiot. Some people, might try and go off that quite strong. But in most cases, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing to blame.
Mm-hmm. I would say, in regards to this tenant, a misconception might be to where, we can't, in not judging others based on nothing but their actions and whatnot, people may think, we should always give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And I don't feel that is the case. It is not. It is not harmful for a keeper to be weary of strange others due to past experience. To be weary of someone because you do not know them and how they act does not go against this tenet. It is when you look at them and because of male or female, color of their skin, wherever it is that they're from, whatever the case may be, so those types of parameters,
Bless you.
when you solely judge on whether or not you should be cautious or not from that point of view, is when you have a problem with following this tenet and you go against it. It is one thing to be like, I don't know you, so that is why I'm cautious around you, versus because you are such and such, I am cautious around you when I first see you.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Everyone is going to form an opinion on somebody. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is
Mhm.
don't act on that until you can judge them by their actions. Unfortunately, I hate to say, but it's human nature to judge people based on these things. We have to try to do better than to keep that.
Sorry, pardon me, guys.
Oh, good. If you get what
Can't
I'm
help it
saying.
when your lungs try to kill you.
Right.
One thing to be mindful of in this day and age, though, is the mask that people wear in society. Of they may not show you their real self, and some people will be like, "Oh, that person's fake," or the mask that they are showing is not one of what they really wish to act like. They do it because of the
Society.
environment and the people they're around and society. Yes, as someone who's undiagnosed ADHD, I can attest that yes, there are situations that I have a different mask depending on the situation, because I try to avoid conflicts to the best of my ability.
And me personally, Sorry, go ahead, Zell.
I was gonna say, and the best way I do that is I have to consciously control myself and wear a mask that suits the environment. But once you actually get to know me, and if we're not in said environment, I'm a completely different person in general. So there's that factor that in today's society that should keep in mind of potentially what you see is that person's mask based off the situation.
Right, and depending on where I'm at in public is going to be a different me than you see at home or at work.
Exactly.
And I know specifically in public, I try to put an air of don't piss me off or don't get in my way because I just don't want to be bothered by anybody. Especially if I'm going up to somewhere and you got the panhandlers out in front of the doors.
Mm-hmm.
But 9 times out of 10, I'll still try to give them something on the way out if one, I can afford it, or two, I have it on me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's Girl Scout cookies.
They just something about them cookies.
It's like crack. They have to put crack in there or something.
Why it is that they wish to join the Scouts is beyond me when they're the ones that sell the cookies, and all Boy Scouts got was frickin' popcorn. You realize how hard it is to sell frickin' popcorn?
Not if you're a Boy Scout.
I was.
So was I. I had no problem selling popcorn.
The only reason I was able to sell popcorn is because I was on a military installation and everyone supported the Scouts.
My school teachers, neighbors, never had problem getting them to buy at least 110 a year. Did I ever win any prizes? Nah. Because there were kids who had their parents take it to work and they were the boss. So it was like, hey, my son's selling this. Come buy some stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. Girl Scouts cookies far outsell.
Oh, no, you're not wrong. People will always outbuy cookies versus popcorn. Always.
Yeah,
but they won't.
No
but if you make it popcorn, everybody wants it. Just saying.
Girl Scout popcorn. Coming to a Walmart near you.
I don't see that ever happening. But what were you going to say, Rainiana? Sorry.
It's kind of like mini child labour, and it just makes sense that girls stuff would sell more than boys. No offense.
They don't
Wait.
call it child labor. They call it fundraising, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same thing by a different name.
yeah, if a bunch of children came to my door selling me shit, I would be calling the police. I don't care how nice it is, I would be calling the bloody police. Whereas where you're from, it's kind of like a weapon. It's like, I don't know if it's because it's, people might think, oh, it's a child, like, oh, kind of thing. But, yeah, I mean, I would actually find it quite terrifying and sus if a bunch of children shut my door and said, I'm selling you cookies / popcorn. I'd be like, fuck no. Sorry.
I think it's
So
just
it's not a
because
common
here
thing.
in America, people know about the Scouts and Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, and they know that they sell the cookies and popcorn to the point that it's like, oh, Girl Scouts are here, Boy Scouts are here.
It's that time of year.
And not to mention, our school system also do like the occasional fundraiser.
I was just about to ask if the European school systems did that.
I mean, Girl Scout cookies are so good that I've known some pretty nasty people who will send out their employees to go and buy as many cookies as they can so they have a year's supply.
Damn.
Like, here's $1,000. Go buy the entire table.
Pretty much.
Nowadays, that only gets you a quarter. Inflation. Anyway, side tangent. I say should be over now, but those are actually good examples of like judging based off of action and stereotypes.
Right.
I mean, for myself,
Because-
I can say. Go ahead.
I'm
Oh, no,
pretty
go
sure
ahead.
no.
Whoever wishes.
Rock,
I
paper,
totally cut
scissors,
you
let's
off
go.
there.
I'm pretty sure I read, no offense, that your Girl Scout cookies are literally overloaded with MSG.
Actually,
So no wonder they're
within the
nice.
past, I was gonna say, apparently recently, the past a few years back, they actually changed their recipes to where they're not the same.
They're the
remember that
healthier
a while ago.
cookies now.
Yeah, that they're supposedly healthier than they were before.
Huh.
But what were you gonna say, George?
I was going to say, so, like, as far as myself goes when it comes to the don't be judged by your actions, I've been very open with my history. You know what I mean? And it's been kind of nice that, like, I'm sure folks have kind of given me a bit of a side eye or whatever, like, okay, I'm going to see what you're about kind of deal. But it's been kind of nice that, like, folks haven't been judging me kind of for anything but my actions within the group, within the
Right.
faith. So I mean that is kind of a nice thing. It's not so much like anything to go against it or whatever, but it is definitely kind of nice. I feel like my skills that I've obtained through that lifestyle and that life still have value here. You know what I mean? And it's kind of nice. Yeah.
I can definitely. I understand where you're coming from, Darjan. You've learned from your past and are wishing to be better and honorable, and you here amongst keepers of the way, you have found those who see you for who you are now and not who you were. And I'm happy to hear that. In regards to things you've learned from actions in the past that I will not ask you to divulge or anything, there's nothing wrong with that. Growing up in military and with my dad being an MA in the Navy, military police for the Navy, for those who do not know, Master of Arms, is the rate. I've been around law enforcement basically all my life. I even served 4.5 years for those who have heard past podcasts. We talk about my experience. One of the best ways I thought to better protect people and property wherever I was think like a criminal. If I think like a criminal and basically have the skills of a criminal, I know how to prevent such things as well. So one of the skills I'm currently wanting to learn is lock for protection, so I can understand what is a good lock, what is a bad lock, as well as just something fun to do in my spare time. Take one of my padlocks and just fiddle with it, and just sort of like a fidget cube.
I mean, I think
And
it's
every now and then, it doesn't hurt to be able to have the skills to help someone in need should they lock themselves out of something.
Right.
well, exactly
Got to
right.
be careful. Just got to be careful with making sure that they are supposed to be there.
I mean, Miyamoto Musashi also brought up the fact of like before one can be a warrior or a samurai, right? In the full,
Hmm.
they should live as a criminal for a time.
Hmm. To understand the ways of the crooked, the best way to understand the ways of the crooked is to live their lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. Although I will
Now, that
state
does not mean
as a
that does
proponent
not
that
mean
like a large
encouraging
majority
others
of
to do so.
yeah, what I'm about to say is not necessarily encouraging the lifestyle, but there's also a lot of folks who do maintain a fairly strong honor because not all like there's more to the crime world than thieves and drug dealers.
I'll full on admit that I've read parts of the Anarchist Handbook.
I'm pretty sure Aru wrote it.
Of course he
Damn,
did.
Maru's old.
Yeah. Side tangent on that is you got to be careful what copies you're reading because a lot of them have been interfered with by different governments over time.
Hmm.
Like a lot of times they
Oh,
get a
I'm sure
bad
they have.
formula.
Hmm.
Um,
But that's also where other research comes into play that I will not speak about.
yeah, it's kind of like eventually you make your own, like to put it in like fantasy term, like you make your own tomes essentially. You're like, oh, this is my information for this, and that's my information for that. I should probably stop talking.
But yeah, in regards to, I've had friends and associates that growing up have not had the best of lifestyle. Like there's actually one uh, individual that I know who used to deal in the distribution of a particular plant. I'll say for TOS purposes, that people like to, puff on. He did it for quite a few years, as well as other menial jobs. Now, having wanting to turn his life around, having a family and wanting the best for his family, he is now a very rather successful business person in like house flipping uh, industry back in my home city. That his company has expanded quite drastically in the past only couple years, to the point that he's got offices in the Philippines.
Damn.
Even
International.
yeah, he's basically got an international business. He's got a podcast. That a successful podcast, a very successful building, but a business. But having seen him, if you were just to look at him, you would probably see his path without realizing his current situation, his current present. And that is one of the kind of things that we talk about being against. It is one thing to see someone for their past as part of their story, but to find out more about them and who they are should always be the case before making final judgment. If I am making any sense at all.
You are. And sorry, my mind is now switched over to getting us some words for the language session tonight.
I mean, Rainiana, we could potentially talk a bit about the grammar rules that we're working on, if you would be okay with that. As you go and mute yourself.
Yeah,
nope.
I've asked her to help me out here. I beat you to it.
Strike.
I think it's also just to kind of on the topic of things quickly. It's important to kind of like talk about like when one has failed on a tenant, right? And there were it's also important to sometimes talk when somebody has failed on a tenant, and so I mean I have failed on this tenant one time. I've worked not to let that happen again, but you know I was reminded by a couple of Ode that hey, don't judge too harshly, judge by actions, and they know who they are, and I thank them for it. I don't know if they listen to our podcast or not, but so sometimes even in the heat of the moment, it's too easy to cast judgment. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And another thing in regards to this tenant is how one's self-judgment as well could potentially also fall under the tenant. Now my mind.
Now your train of thought is left.
My train has derailed on how I was going to word this. Do not let your personal judgment blind you of your own. Do not, and also in your judgment of others in regards to keepers who may fumble in keeping two away. Like right now, technically, due to my situation and my position of where I'm at in the military, I am not currently able to adhere to Tenets 1 and 2.
Right.
Due to the uniform regulation.
Now you do remember that it said that they do say to the best of one's ability.
Correct.
Not that I'm giving you an out to it, but your situation requires you. I'm sorry, not require. Well, it requires you to follow a different set of rules while you are in uniform and on base.
And I can also.
I am trying.
Go
I
ahead.
am trying to find ways to be able to still adhere to that while following military rules and regulations.
Right.
One of which is at my command, I could potentially get a religious accommodation to wear an armored cuff even in uniform, thus being able to adhere to Tenet number 2. It is a little harder for Tenet number 1, being that what is defined as being armed is really hard to find the
Oops.
justification while being
Wrong button.
adherent to the UCMJ, Uniform Code
Right.
of Military Justice. When a vode is not adhering to the tenets outright, and like you just met them, do not judge them being like, well, you're not armed or armored, so you're clearly not actually serious about it. But it is better to ask why are they not adhering to a specific tenet than to judge them right off the bat, for there may be reason that they are unable to adhere to said tenet, to whatever and whichever tenet that may be.
Right.
I think the only tenets that that are kind of semi exception to that sort of thing would be, but at the same, because the the term of policing ourselves to make sure we are adhering to our tenet sounds rather strict, but just a simple, hey, that doesn't go, that goes against tenet number what such and such,
Right.
whatever it may be. Because I was going to say one of the tenets that should not be a problem for any vode to adhere to is being an honest ambassador of the way, speaking to those who will listen but not force it upon others. And then I thought about it of, no, that can, if someone is misreading the room, they could easily go against that tenet, not realize it.
No, you're making
And
sense.
another thing is also judging a person in a situation. There are plenty of examples of bikers. Bikers here in the States, and I'm pretty sure people around the world look at bikers and think, oh, they're rough and tumble, not so favorable gentlemen, yet I know of several groups out there that if a child is in danger, these guys will show up at their door to protect them, and you do not want to be on that in their scope.
I actually have a couple of friends who are in one of these groups. Am I allowed to say their name? Like the group's name?
I don't know. Are you?
The group is called.
I would say I would advise against it just for ambiguity and
We don't want them coming after us.
I wouldn't
I
say
would- they
that,
would.
but I wouldn't say that being the reason, but I know some of these groups don't necessarily want the limelight on them for such things.
True.
So to protect their privacy, for lack of a better term, I am abstaining from mentioning specific names.
Yeah, I've got a few friends who are in a couple of these different groups. So, but I was just
that one I would say no. That's not one I'm referring to.
Nah.
I am unaware of that of them.
Good group. You should take a look at them. But they're about protecting people. So in my books, they follow some of the more important part. Like, not that I guess there's one tenant more important than the others, but protect others is kind of our thing.
Yeah.
So I drive with them.
Nice.
But
yeah. So I mean, there are plenty of people out there that you look at, and a lot of people's first thought is like, oh, they're a rough and tumble sort of person that I don't want to be with. or be associated with, when in reality they're probably some of the nicest people you would ever meet, and would even be willing to help you if out in a pinch, or even give you the shirt off their back. And then there are people that out there that are seem to be the nicest, most genuinely nice person you ever met, and they're just total trash of society. So those are some things to keep in mind when it comes to that.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and move into the language now, just because my
Mhm.
schedule, I have to go into bed soon now.
Yeah,
So we've got
I can't
about
be late either.
20 words, give or take, between me and Rainiana. So we've got
You got them posted
Geishir.
somewhere?
Do what?
You got them posted somewhere?
They will be in Mandalore, yes. There we go. I did have to do a little bit of editing. And maybe Rainiana, you can...
My fault was I accidentally posted part of the font, which is gobbledygook, so...
Yeah, that's part of what I had to edit out.
Sorry.
All good. So we've got Geishir, which is judge, decide, or solve, which is a verb. Nari, which is move, action, or act. Another act. Noun, sorry. The noun aade, which is species or race. We've got Vingoroya, which is race, which I'm assuming that's more the sport because it's got Goroya at the end of it.
Yes.
And then we've
Yes,
also
that is
got
referring
Gade
to-
Venir, which is race, which I couldn't tell what kind of... It's a verb, so maybe it's another race, like you're racing. Randiana, can you help me out with that one in particular?
Yeravania is it's trying to get my notes for it.
Holy crap! Sorry, guys.
Oh, good.
Mute for a sec.
Basically means to race, but also to compete, to resist. It's a kind of basically means to strive, if that makes sense. It's trying to say like to compete, as in to go against, or to basically.
Okay, that's what I was
like-
thinking, like you're racing.
Yeah.
I'm
it's about
racing
it-
you to get an answer.
Yeah, but it's also like sport, and Mandoa's. I mean, Mandoa is they viewed many things like even the term game nearly means nearly a hunt. So everything's quite competitive. So it's quite judgmental, is what I mean. If that makes sense.
So it would be the action of racing. Right?
Yeah. In that
Okay.
case, it means to race or to strive or compete.
Alright, so then we've got San, which is worth or reliability. Not monetary worth, but rather an arbitrary, often referred to people, like you're worth something or you're a reliable person. We've got lease, which is ability or capability. So lease Gervenir would be ability or capability of racing. Did I do that right?
Capability to race.
Yeah.
Capability to compete.
Right. So then we've got Shavla, which is rough, unruly, the criminal underclass by Mando standards, which is very rough.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to think if us Mandos are calling someone rough or unruly, that's pretty rough. Excuse me. So then we've got Ruhat, which is past deed or past situations. Dunar, which is a mistake, an error, or misdeed. Duran, which is to hold in contempt, look down upon. And we've also got Duranir, which is scorn or hold in contempt. So the verb of hold in contempt instead of the noun for it, basically.
Mhm.
And then we've got Dunar, which is mistake, error, or misdeed as a noun. Okay, then we've got a double of Duran, so I'm going to skip over that one and Duranir, another double. And then we've got
Yeah,
several.
Osid.
Okay, then we've got a double up of those. So Osi Covid, which is basically shithead. We've got Osi Kuram, which is a rude person. Or we could also say it as a phrase, Osi Kuram, as shit mouth. Yes, whoever that is, you have a loud bike. I get it. Or we have Osiyan, which is a noun for useless. Or
Skipped one.
did I? Oh, Osikir, my bad. The phrase, it's a strong exclamation of surprise or dismay. So Osikir, I missed one. There you go. There's the phrase for you.
That one would be similar to like help.
Right.
So I believe we have a specific word for help in
We do.
Civic.
I don't know what it is right this second, though.
Technically, it's Gereche.
Gereche.
Or
Gadetcha?
you have
No.
Gereche, which basically means please, but then you have Getail, which basically means Gaitailir, basically. Which kind of means hand hold me if that's broken down. Like give me your hand if that makes sense. So it depends which type of please. Gadeche is linked to the verb for begging. Hence why it's used as like a plead.
In
Okay,
this
so I've
case,
got two
Osikir would
words
be
for
help,
help.
as in like I need help, emergency help.
The word for to beg is basically gadetir. If that makes sense. Quickly try and throw that in. Which is the plea version, if that makes sense. It's not, please excuse me, which please can be mistaken for that. So, please help me would basically be, a gadeche gadetir. Nee, kind of thing. Help me. Unfortunately, Mandalore is a little bit full of insults.
Yeah. We have, as was stated, Osiyaim, which would be useless or despicable. Correct?
Don't know.
According to what we have
Sorry, I
here.
was.
Because we have Osiyaim twice here, one for useless and one for despicable.
Osiyaim is it kind of basically means a shit house in direct translated, but it's also meaning despicable. So it means unfortunately, mine was condensing it apparently, but OCM is basically sort of, useless, despicable person, one living in shit, and a shit house. So one can be aimed at a person. So think about like football.
You want me to take the crack at the full phrase here?
Sure.
Gar Taldin ni Jayon Yonish Gar sa Puir Oriwa Oriwada. Wow.
Das.
That's a new one.
Dasla. Gartadin
Oriwadash.
Nijayon. Damn, I just got tongue tied. Gartadin Nijayonish Garsaburir Uriwa Dashla.
Yeah, that list word definitely is one that I haven't heard seen before.
Gartaldine Joanish Gasabuir Oriwadasla. It roughly means, in theory, your blood doesn't matter, or your basically bloodline doesn't matter. Only the parent you shall be very good, basically, or very worthful. Priceless, basically.
Bloodline is not important, but you as a father or mother are the most valuable thing.
Correct.
17 in the, let's say, the lore of the books was, in theory, once you became, Mandalore, if the vows of adoption were said, your past was kind of wiped, if that makes sense. So you never left it, but you had a chance to improve, if that makes sense. 17 kind of means clean slate. I mean, that won't affect you if you've done anything very, very naughty, but probably the worst insult in Mandalore. The Manda's maybe the worst one you could judge another Mandalore by. But when it comes to if you're to judge a person as being abhorrent, like utterly, it's probably Demagol and Demagolka. And they are the kind of worst ones. Think World War II vibes, basically. That's probably the most negative word you could call someone if you were judging them.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause once you-
Demigolka is mad scientist, war criminal kind of label.
Demagolka basically means carver, but carver of flesh, and kind of the Mandalorian boogeyman, but he basically did in the Star Wars fandom. That's maybe the worst insult you could get from that. I mean, Chavla is it's related to Chav, which is UK, if that makes sense. Was just kind of rough.
Mhm.
There is one phrase I'm trying to find very quickly, and it's as rough as a straw's back.
I knew I was spelling that wrong.
Just I can never spell straw right. So try and find it. But in theory, anything Amando Adi says can be an insult because even the phrase Ika as IDK, if you say Ika to the wrong person, you can basically make it an insult. Ika se should be the correct form. That is the proper plural, but it's not as close, if that's the right word. Which is mostly relation. So, are you my vodika or my vodikase? That's me talking about my brother's immediate kind of thing versus you're all my brothers and sisters on earth. Depending how close you view that, you could use Ika or Ike, or you could use Ikase basically.
Then I added another phrase on there because I remembered it from that last phrase. It was Alit Orisha Taldin. Family is more than bloodline.
Mhm.
Which is actually kind of fun because I listen to soundtracks on Pandora. The Book of Boba Fett soundtrack is on there, and they've actually got a song or a soundtrack for Alit Orisha Taldin.
It is true. It has been shown that, as the saying goes, of the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Right.
It is not your bloodline that determines your family, but the one that you choose yourself will be. Because there are plenty of people that I consider family that are not blood, and there is plenty of blood that I no longer consider family.
All right, so with all that being said, I want to try to keep these as close to an hour as possible. Just on the standpoint of editing, it's a lot easier to edit an hour's worth of content than 2 hours. But I will say I did really good last week. I got 2 episodes edited and posted. So hopefully this week I'll get all of June done. Maybe including this one, we'll see. But I've got 2 weeks to get it done now until we record, and I don't want to have anything on my table, anything on my plate when I do that. I want to have everything done. Zell posting Soy Kugard. Soy Koi. That's the last 3 minutes of the podcast go by. Very nice, sir. Very nice. So thank you for everyone who has stopped in, either on the TikTok, the Twitch, or the Discord. I have been your host, Kadale Kbor. Feel free to hit up the QR code that I've got in the background on the Twitch. Kando has it on the background of the TikTok live. I really need to get your TikTok added to my Twitch bio so that people can find you through there in case they want to watch on there than instead of TikTok.
I'm also playing around with something here.
Okay.
I'm making a new background.
Oh.
I need to teach you how to do that.
Oh, no need.
No, he's using mine right now, like literally the React link, the QR code, that blue
Oh, no,
sigil
not
that
that.
I've got.
Hmm.
I almost thought he was streaming my side, but I think he's using his own right there. It's just the
Mhm.
file that I sent him.
No,
Yeah.
I have made my own.
Well, good
Like
for you, sir.
No, I was saying I needed for the command to bring up for those who wish to
Oh yeah, the
more easily get access to the link tree.
right, the yeah, what you just did, the
Hmm.
exclamation link.
Hmm.
So hopefully we'll have that running by the next podcast. That's gonna be my goal there.
Hmm.
So we've got 2 weeks to get that done.
I was gonna say if you give me like 5 minutes, I can talk you through it.
Yeah, no. After we get done here, I'm gonna go get gas with my girlfriend before the Kroger points expire.
Copy.
So yeah, hit up the link trees. It'll take you to all of our social medias: Discord, Facebook, the main Facebook page for the Way, and the Armorers Guild Facebook pages are linked there. Another shameless plug: I'm still looking for pre-orders on getting a new printer. So if anyone would like to help me out, feel free to hit me up on my pages.
Oh,
Just
I'll
trying
be
to leave
having
that
a
as
talk
dead
with
air
you in
so that I
regards
can just
to how
edit the
much.
barking out. Shut up over there.
I was
Not
gonna say
y'all.
I'll hit you up on how much you would charge for a test print for the
For the dog tag.
Bushido that I'm wishing to have for myself.
You talking about helmet?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I butchered
Boy Shay.
Borsche.
I heard Boy Shear. I was like, what the fuck is Boy Shear?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, good. So, yep, hit us up on
Been a long
social
day.
medias. If you would like to join the Way, you're more than welcome. We accept everybody into the faith. It's not an exclusive, only members kind of thing.
All are welcome.
And all are equal under the helm.
Ibe Kruni.
Ibe Kruni.